we're on the train to Newcastle, start our journey along Hadrian's Wall.
State.
So I'm in Newcastle now, just heading across the Felon Metro. I'm going to get the Metro down to South Shields. That's the only one you can get on with a bike around here. One of my friends just came to give us a lift down. He bought us a 4-man tent so I can actually fit the bike inside of the tent rather than having to lock it up outside. The weather's not too good, but we are stood right on the mouth of the Tyne at the exact eastern end of the wall. And this wasn't actually part of the wall itself, but it was actually a supply hub around this area, a place called Arbea. And also, if you look over here, this was built in 1882. This lighthouse is one of the only lighthouses to feature a fog bell, which is an audio device that goes off in periods of low visibility to warn ships that the sandbanks are higher in this area. So as we say goodbye to the lighthouse, it's time to continue along to a Roman supply hub called Arbea. But first, there's one final job to do. We need to take a little pebble from this beach at the east side and take it with us all the way across to the west side where we can chuck it in the ocean. I've not got far from the lighthouse, it's literally just there, but I've spotted one of my favourite flowers along the path here, and this is Cowslip. It's part of the primrose family, meaning it's one of the first flowers to open up, and it's a vital nectar source for a lot of little bugs and creatures in the UK. This is the Roman fort of Arbea, or a reconstruction of what it would have looked like before it was destroyed. And if you look on the left, you can see there's a lot of foundation work of buildings that were also here. This was a main supply hub and also a cavalry point for Hadrian's Wall when the Romans came to invade. That's Arbea, which supplied most of Hadrian's Wall with supplies, and now we're going to actually go and see the start of Hadrian's Wall. Over there is the Tyne Tunnel. However, you can't go through on a push bike. So what we're going to do is we're going to go an alternate way that not many people actually know about. This is the entrance to the Tyne pedestrian and cyclist tunnels, which opened in 1951. They offer 24/7 access from one side of the River Tyne to the other. Let's go in and have a look. Designed in 1951, the buildings on either side of the tunnel are referred to as rotundas. This was the northeast's entrance into the 1951 Festival of Britain, and it's a Grade 2 listed building. It features the longest wooden step elevator in the world. However, it's largely out of use now. Spotted a bunch of thistles covered in little black dots, and these little black dots are aphids, and the reason that they're so attracted to thistles is because thistles are so good at defending themselves. They don't have to contain a lot of the tannins and other chemicals which are toxic and poisonous towards other animals.
Scream if you want to go faster.
There's two tunnels, a pedestrian tunnel and a cyclist tunnel, and they're both 270 metres long. These appear to be the steps for maintenance. Look at how narrow they get. You must have to hold onto this wire and walk up 1 foot at a time up the side there. We're back out the tunnel and we're on our way to the Segedunum, which is the start of Hadrian's Wall. This is the Segedunum in Wallsend. This entire field was the fort, and all that's left now are the foundations of what used to be here. In Celtic, Segedunum means strong fort, and this would have housed over 600 soldiers for 300 years. Not much remains here today, 2,000 years later, but you can imagine the hustle and bustle in this area in the year 127 AD when it was constructed. Looking across to the River Tyne from the Segedunum, it's easy to see why this was such a strategic place for fortifications, with panoramic views of the River Tyne and anybody trying to invade from the coast. There used to be a pub in this exact spot referred to locally as the Ship in the Hole. However, when it was demolished in 2013, archaeologists had pinpointed this area as a likely location of the old Roman baths. After excavation work, digging trenches, they found the remains of the old Roman baths, and this is one of the best preserved examples of this we have in the UK, with the hot room stones still stood in place as they would have been nearly 2,000 years ago. That was the Segedunum and the Roman baths, and now what we're going to do is we're going to continue along the cycleway along Hadrian's Wall a little bit, just to try and get out of the city and out into somewhere where I can camp out for the night. But look at this, look at these beautiful bluebells. We're at Newcastle now. We're going to keep going along the cycleway. It's pretty busy. We're just going to keep going until we get out into the sticks and we can start enjoying it a bit more, start taking in the scenery. This strange structure in front of me is Leamington Glass Cone Kiln, and it's one of only 4 remaining glass cones in the UK which were used to make flat glass. This one was later then used to make light bulbs, and it was operational between 1797 and 1997. An estimated 1.7 million bricks were used in its construction. And we're back out in the countryside again, having a nice chill cycle along. Made some good progress. We've got along to a place called Heading on Wall, so we've done about 20 miles so far. Fifi's just ate the rest of her cashew nuts. Look at this view. Absolutely lovely. This is Hagbank Bridge, originally built in 1876 to transport coal and other produce from Tyne along to Carlisle. sun is absolutely blazing. It's lovely and warm, that cool breeze. And look at this, look at how stunning this is along here. Look at the age of this big tree here. Look at that. If you look towards the top of these trees, they start to turn red about halfway up, and that's because this is Scots pine, and Scots pine used to cover the majority of northern England and Scotland. At one point, all of these fields you can see to the left of me probably would have been covered in Scots pine too, as part of the Caledonian forest which stretched across northern Europe. We've made it along Corbridge. Just had a quick stop off at the co-op and got myself a meal deal, and now we're going to go across to the Chinese. I'm going to keep the meal deal for either later on today before I go to sleep, or I might keep it for tomorrow. We're taking a little stop by the Amber Chinese takeaway in Corbridge. I've got myself salt and chili chips, boiled rice and sweet and sour sauce. Thank you very much, the Amber. Let's pack this away and find somewhere to eat it. The sun's starting to come down now. It looks absolutely beautiful. How bloody stunning is this? On the way to find somewhere to camp for the night, I thought I'd take a little stop by the Corbridge Roman town, a well-preserved 2nd century remains of a military and civilian base. In 1962, a chest bound with leather was found buried here, buried 1,800 years ago. It contained tools, weapons, and segments of armour. The chest that was found buried here helped revolutionise our understanding about Roman armour. This started off as a wooden fort, with the stone construction happening later on, as this place turned into a bustling little town. Beautiful that sky is. So decided to stop. I'm going to give Fifi something to eat. I'm going to have this, and then we're going to continue along and just hopefully find somewhere before it gets dark. Had me Chinese. It's getting dark now. I've asked some locals that are walking past if they had to camp out somewhere around here. Where would they camp out? And they've pointed us in the direction of somewhere that's supposed to be nice and out the way, and nobody walks there. We'll see how it goes. So I found a little spot for the night that seems to be out the way. Gonna have to test this tent out. Hopefully it works, because I don't really have a choice. Obviously I've just got this today. There's a tent up and sorted for the night. We didn't have any issues. You can see I've got my inflating air mat, my sleeping bag there, and then this gap on the side where I'm going to be putting the bike in. That's the bike in. You can see it actually fits in there quite nicely. I was expecting to have to take at least one of the wheels off. I've took the cover off the top of the tent to let it ventilate through the air holes there. I woke up and it's such a bloody nice place, this. What a lovely find. I'm so glad I bumped into that person who suggested this spot. Well, that's us off on the move again. We're packed away. We've got Fifi in situ. We're going to go see what was Sycamore Gap. I guess it's still Sycamore Gap, but there's not a sycamore tree there anymore. Some idiots chopped it down. We're going to go see there's a memorial thing there, and there's also quite a lot of Roman activity around there, so we'll go and have a look. I'm at St Michael's and All Angel Church in Warden, and look at how stunning this gateway is. This is what's referred to as a lich gate, and it used to be where the pallbearers in the coffin would wait sheltered while they were waiting for the funeral to begin. I'm absolutely awestruck by the level of detail and the extreme craftsmanship that's went into this to pay the maximum respect to the dead. The text that goes around reads, "For the dear memory of Mary, wife of George Cruddas, this gate is dedicated." So the gate is actually a memorial to George Cruddas, who was the Reverend here's wife. There's some fascinating stone carvings here, looking like they're from the Anglo-Saxon times. And also, on a more morbid note, you can see there's a couple of coffins there that would have been used for babies. This is a 13th century church. However, like a lot of churches in the UK, the history on this site dates a lot further back. Here we have the old Warden village cross dating back to the early 7th century, 1,400 years ago. Outside, next to the lich gate, you can see there's an old set of stairs that seem to lead nowhere, but this would have been for mounting onto a horse a lot easier. I've got my modern horse there. The sun's come out now, absolutely lovely, and thank you very much to Ed for this well-placed seat, because we've just come up massive hills there, all the way up from the river down there somewhere. Come across an egg which just fell out of one of these trees. Hopefully it's actually hatched out of it before it's thingy, so we'll turn that over and have a look. It's empty, yay! This verdant array with white flowers is a plant called garlic mustard, also commonly known as Jack by the hedge. It's edible, and as the name suggests, it's got a hint of garlic and a hint of mustard. George Cruddas, the Reverend of the previous church that we visited, who had the lich gate dedicated to his wife in memory of her, also commissioned the construction of this prefabricated church in 1982, meaning this wooden church is over 130 years old. It was built for roughly £350 and it's now a Grade 2 listed building. It's an original name for a pub. It's extremely hilly around here, so I'm stopping for a little break, and then we're going to make our way along to an old lime kiln. This strange shaped building is Crindledyke's lime kiln. Built in the 1800s, limestone and coal would have been drawn up this ramp at the back and dropped into a big bucket-like structure on the top. Workers of the kiln would then set it on fire, turning it into quicklime, and the quicklime would have been shoveled out through these drawing eyes at the bottom. The resultant quicklime would be used in construction, or it would be soaked with water and laid out on fields to help neutralise the pH of the soil. Over 300 of these lime kilns were built across Northumbria. However, this was the only one to have 4 drawing arches to a kiln pot. Most lime kilns ceased production in the early 1900s. However, this one started off by closing down 2 of the kiln arches. This is Vindolanda Roman Fort Museum. Down there is the museum. Across there we've got a couple of replica shrines that we're going to go see, and up at the top there is the Vindolanda Roman Fort itself. The soil on this site is anaerobic, which means it's oxygen free, perfectly preserving all the organic artifacts. This is actually an active archaeological site, so there's still people working here excavating stuff. There's a massive collection of leather shoes which have been perfectly preserved over the centuries. Here's some medical supplies that were excavated from this site. Wooden hairpins and combs and even a hairnet. Fascinating how this stuff survived nearly 2,000 years underground. The Romans had many gods, and this demonstrates just a few of them carved in stone. These thin wooden tablets with ink writing on contain birthday invitations and even requests for socks. This is a wooden axle from one of the old wagons, and you can also see a segment of wheel there. This is the skeleton of a 10 or 11-year-old child. Archaeologists found by inspecting the teeth that this girl followed a Mediterranean diet until the age of 7. This is a replica of a Roman pottery kiln. What a beautiful spot to sit and enjoy a meal deal. Absolutely stunning. This is a replica of a Roman shrine dedicated to the water nymphs, as the Romans supported many gods that were here already. This area didn't cease being inhabited, as a small house was dated to around 500 AD, after the Romans had already left. And here we have a beautiful replica of what the wooden forts would have looked like on this site. The replica forts and walls here give a true scale of what this would have actually looked like back in the day. Vindolanda was not the site of one fort, it was actually the site of 9 different forts constructed one after each other on top of the foundations of the other one. This is a fascinating example of how water was transported around this area using these old stone drainage systems. These would have carried the water from the wells and storage tanks on top of the hill through these stone channels all the way down into the Vindolanda. It's not often you get to walk in exactly the same footsteps as people 2,000 years ago. This would have been the hot room, the cold room, and the general baths and toilet area of this place. As much the same way we still do today, you can see these channels would have went underneath the path to carry the water around the underground sewage system of the past. Situated next to the workshops and the west gate of the fort, we have the tavern, and the tavern was the biggest building in the entire settlement. This is the west gate entrance to the fort, and although there's not much left today, we have a nice illustration on this sign showing what this would have looked like and how high these walls would have stood. This building in front of me would have been the heart of the fort. This was the commanding officer's house, and he had his own baths, his own toilet, and also rooms for his entire family. The true scale of this place is absolutely breathtaking, and even today there's still excavation works happening. Here we have the 2024 to 2028 Vindolanda excavations, and you can see they're still unearthing massive amounts of history at this place. That was the Vindolanda fort. Now we're going to head back at the bike and go all the way back up the hill again to go to Sycamore Gap. There's some absolutely killer hills around here, so this sort of cycleway is not for the faint-hearted. So that dip in the hills in the distance behind the trees there is Sycamore Gap, and we're going to have to travel all the way along this road, all the way around the other side and go down. We did start off down there right at the bottom of the hill, so we've got a bit more travelling to do yet until we get there. But it's worth the detour, I think, even though there's not a tree there anymore. I don't actually have a front brake, which is a bit of an issue because before, when I was coming down a hill like this, I had to come all the way down and back up the other side just to stop. So hopefully we won't have any issues like that again. A little stop by the SIL, National Landscape Discovery Centre, and I parked the bike up. I love it when they have these little tool stations so you can work on your bike with a pump. This art installation represents the Sycamore Gap tree. They've got a beautiful photography exhibition showcasing a lot of the local photographers' work. There's a rooftop walk offering panoramic views of the Northumberland countryside. I do love an interesting gate latch, and I haven't seen one like this before. So I've just came all the way up the hill to see Sycamore Gap tree. Obviously I know the tree isn't there, but the stump is. Got to the top and there's a load of bicycle gates that you can't get through with a bike. So I'm having to now head back all the way back down here again along there. Well, that across there in the distance is Sycamore Gap, and I'm not going through this field to try and get to it. So you're just gonna have to believe us. That's Sycamore Gap across there. There's a stump where the tree used to be, which is now growing new shoots. So there's a promise that it's going to grow back into a new tree. And just beside it there's a mile castle, and they called this because they were dotted every single mile along Hadrian's wall. That was Sycamore Gap, and now I've got to go all the way back down to the valley down there. So So I've took a stop in Haltwhistle Marketplace, and look at how beautiful this sign is, like 3D engraved. Look at this nice sort of emblem at the top here, and the more you look at it, the more things pop out, little people everywhere. Lovely. Haltwhistle had a massive problem with border reivers invading from Scotland, and a lot of the houses built along this road are actually bastles. A bastle is a type of fortified house, and these little blue signs you can see above the door signifies that it's an old bastle. Well, I just pedalled all the way up that hill for no reason, because now I'm going all the way down to the bottom again. Definitely worth it for the views though. That ruin you can see up on the hill there is a castle built to help defend England against the border raiders. Firwell Castle was built by John Firwell in 1330 using stone stolen from Hadrian's Wall. It's mad to think 1,200 years before that castle was built, the same stones were being used for the exact same purpose, to defend against the Scots. Oh, this one's a test of the old brakes, this one. That's full lock on the brakes. Oh, we're starting to slow down now, I think we'll be fine. And eventually, this is Hadrian's Wall. You'd think Hadrian's Wall cycleway would have a bit more views of Hadrian's Wall, but I'm near the end now. This is the first glimpse of the wall I've actually got. Imagine how impressive this would have been when it was fully built up and people hadn't stolen all the stones from it. You can see there's a Fifi there for scale. So this wall is about 2 meters thick. And just imagine how much stone and how much effort went into making this wall the entire length across the country from coast to coast. Not to mention the fact there was castles the whole way along every single mile and forts as well. And your legs don't work like they used to before. There's another Roman fort here, but unfortunately it's closed. And I'm trying to make a little dash down, try and get to the coast and back to Carlisle before it gets too late to get a train. It's a little bit windy. They ran out of local stone during some of the construction of Hadrian's Wall. This part of the wall here was actually constructed with earth, as you can see here, and it would have had wooden defences along the top. And also this little castle here, which is like a turret where the people could stand on top and shoot anybody trying to invade across the border. This is Lanacross Priory, founded in 1169 as an Augustinian monastery. As is becoming a running theme along this journey, for its construction it used stones from Hadrian's Wall. There you go. In 1306, for 6 months, this temporarily became the place of residence of King Edward I when he took ill, making this the centre of governance in England. A bit of a change of plan. I've been racing down to get on Bowness on Solway, which is the official end of the wall. I'm going to get caught out tonight, not be able to get the train back, so I'm going to have to go down as far as I can, camp out for the night and finish it off tomorrow. The sun's coming down and we're also back in civilization, unfortunately. So this is Carlisle. I'll get to put a video tomorrow. I'm just passing through, trying to find somewhere to camp for the night. So it's been a bit of an eventful one. I've had to stop at a church in a little village along the way. I couldn't camp out anywhere. It's all salt marshes here, and there's signs saying there's quicksand and rapidly moving tides. The church, it does say all day self-service refreshments available inside, so they seem like quite accommodating to stay closed. But there's normally somebody that comes around, who's like the village sort of warden for the church, that comes around and opens the doors and stuff like that. That's going to be my home for the night there. A little wander around. There's not much going on. Yeah, it seems pretty... Oh, it's not someone's bloody house, is it? No, just church related stuff. Right, let's get set up here then. Got the tent up, got the bike in. Got Fifi. See you in the morning. The tent's soaking wet inside. My shoes are soaking wet. All things considered, that could have went a lot worse. I slept a bit better today. Slept until about 8:30. Better than yesterday. I was up at about 5:30. Tent's there. Let's have a little look around during the day. I love these, by the way. These are tie plates. So they put a big metal rod the whole way through, threaded rod, and they put a plate on either side and tighten them in, and it just stops the walls from falling apart from each other on either side. This church was built in 1861. I love that type of tie plate. Sort of looks like a shield emblem on the wall. Look at how beautifully overgrown this area is at the back. And I saw this yesterday, but I wanted to come back and see it during the day, see what it looks like. Look at that. I think it's a squirrel. Looks like a squirrel. And we'll leave them a little thank you. Thank you very much to Port Carlisle Community Chapel, retrospectively, for me staying here. If you look down here, it says Matthew 11:28, come to me, all you who labour and are heavily burdened, and I will let you rest. And so you did. I was hoping someone would be here by now to open up the chapel, like a reverend or a caretaker or something, but unfortunately not. I was going to ask, but I'm just going to leave my tent here. I've only got a little bit more to go. I've got to go down to Bowness and Solway to finish off. It's only a few miles down the road, and then I'm going to come back, and hopefully my tent's dried out a bit by then. For anybody wondering why I didn't just camp out on this massive amount of grass which is down the side, this is why. I did not want to be submerged 2 feet underwater. And there we have it. There's the start/end, depending on which way you're coming, of Hadrian's Wall. We made it. Come from all the way across here, South Shields, joined up with the Segedunum, which is the start of the wall. So that's the end of the wall, depending on which way you're coming from. And we went all the way across here, across to the west coast. Now all that's left to do is chuck the rock in. I've lost the rock, so I'm going to have to nip back to South Shields and get another one. No, I'm joking, I've still got it here. Let's go do it. Here we go. And for the Hadrian's Wall cycleway, that's us done. But what we're going to do is we're going to go back along, because we missed quite a lot of places between here and Carlisle yesterday. Because obviously we left Carlisle yesterday at about 10 o'clock at night. So we'll go back along and see what it's like during the day. Just want to say this is the more beautiful end of the walk. So definitely start from this way if you want the views first. Found a couple of people who were just starting off the walk. Yeah, 7-day walk, did you say?
Yeah, 7 days walk. Yeah, we're from the United States. Decided, I don't know, 3 months ago, whatever.
Yeah, about that.
Let's do this. So yeah,
Fantastic.
we just came over for the week.
Figured we'd walk a while and stop in pubs along the way.
Yeah, that's it. We're here for the beer, and the walk is just part of it.
Just secondary. Yeah.
Took a stop at the Solway Lounge. Had some beans on first. Hello. I've got a little friend for Fifi here as well. A lovely group of ladies here. They're just starting off the walk.
Hello.
So where's your first stop?
Here.
Yeah.
Off to Carlisle Lake. Love coffee.
Some mango and raspberry sorbet. We're going to sit here, enjoy the views before we set off again. Got myself a little lump of driftwood to remember the trip by. And we're off again. We're on our way to Carlisle now, so we're going to see what we can see along the way. We're picking up the tent and the church is still closed. It appears it's not open all day for self-service refreshment. Bye again, Port Carlisle Community Chapel. Pack me tent away, ready to go. I've stopped at the top of one of these salt marshes so I can show you these little white flowers here. These tiny white 4-petaled flowers and these pale red stems tell us that we're looking at scurvy grass. Scurvy is a disease caused by a long-term lack of vitamin C, leading to the body's inability to produce proper collagen, and can lead to bleeding, gums and all sorts of skin conditions. It gets its name scurvy grass from its high content of vitamin C, as sailors used to take this out to sea with them to stop them getting the disease. Of a basalt house fortified to try and stop the Scottish raiders from coming across and stealing everything. Ladies behind us that I saw before continuing their walk. This is a monument to King Edward I, who we mentioned became ill while he was staying at the priory down the road. He died in this small village of Burgh-by-Sands in 1307. He was buried just down the road in St Michael's Church, where we're going to visit next. This is St Michael's Church, and I got it wrong before. He wasn't buried here. He was laid in rest here for 10 days before being shipped back down to Westminster. It was constructed in the 12th century from the stones from a nearby Aberlava Roman fort. The church's tower started off as a peel tower, as a defensive structure built by the Normans. This is an old windmill located in Monk Hill that's been converted into a house. So we're back in Carlisle now. We're going to go get ourselves an energy drink, try and get the morale back up, and then we're going to head towards the city centre, go see Carlisle Castle, and then we're going to get the train back. We found a one stop, got an energy drink, now we're going to get going again. There's something about this yellow and red brick and the archway across there, the brick archway, that remind me of my childhood. This is Carlisle Castle, originally built in 1092 by William the Conqueror's son, William II. It was later reconstructed by Henry I in stone. Carlisle Castle is one of the most besieged castles in UK history, switching hands between the Scottish and the English 10 times. After fleeing Scotland in 1568, Mary Queen of Scots was held captive here for 2 months in the Warden's Tower. This is Tully House Museum and Art Gallery. The gallery and garden is centred around Tully House, an old Jacobean manor. What a beautiful building. This is Carlisle Cathedral, founded in 1122. It's the smallest cathedral in England and the only Augustinian one. Archaeological excavations on this site have revealed a history dating back far further than the cathedral itself, with Roman and Viking settlements existing here too. The courtyard itself is an eclectic mix of different buildings that all look absolutely stunning. Today, this is all that remains of the original Augustinian priory. Now, all that's left to do of this adventure is go back to Carlisle station and make our way back home. For a quick bite to eat, got a couple of vegan rolls, see if he's enjoying her bit. You might be wondering why these raised beds have little slits in towards the road. That's because these raised beds are designed to take water off the street and reduce runoff speed. They have a specially engineered type of soil designed to filter out pollutants. During regular rainfall, the water will soak in and be filtered through this soil. However, when there's an overflow, you can see there's a drain. This helps alleviate some of the pressure on our already broken sewage system.